All right, we go switch it up a little bit. Let's feature me. Hello, past self and past you. This episode is with two close friends of mine, and it was honestly kind of challenging for me for reasons I will not name. But the three of us get into love languages, communication, miscommunication, creating and finding space as an artist in a relationship, as well as the ins and outs that come with being in a relationship as an artist. So there's no sponsor at the moment, but niggas been smoking big Henrys. Shout out to Henrys. This is my favorite brand. I remember I was in, I think it was like Herba in Venice, and I hate that fucking shop. No shout out to them. I wouldn't recommend it. Shit was very strange. But the weed I got from there was by Henry's. And like ever since then, everything that I got from there is hard. Anyway, shout out to yourself. Enjoy. Banana. So the conversation that I wanted to have specifically is about muses, attraction, love, definitions of love, and things like that, and anything in that bubble. I have a few specific topics that I'm gonna kind of chime in with, but like I want to start with what both of your definitions of love are.
You go first.
My definition of love. Hey. I mean, I feel like it's like ever changing, but I feel like the base is just like understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just understanding one another and making that effort to hear and understand one another. I think that's love. Mm. Because I think even if you don't agree with someone's something, whatever that is, at least making the effort to understand where they're coming from can start to build this awareness of that thing. You know what I mean? Or it can start to build, like how to navigate a space where that thing can exist. Mm-hmm. And then you start to understand, oh, they're not the only person that thinks that way, that lives that way. There's other people. And you start to kind of create this worldview of like people. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where love, because I learned to love people more after like meeting more people. You know, mm-hmm. It's like the more people you speak to, the more people you listen to, the more people you learn from, the more you develop this love and respect for them. Right. Regardless of what that background is. Because there's times where I'm like, dang, I couldn't disagree with this person more, and sometimes like I'm someone who I have to work on patience when it comes to communicating or standing up for something, because I'm like, wait, you don't get it? Wait, you're that dense? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I've been very frustrated in conversations before, and that doesn't really, it's not productive at all.
I feel it.
But when you move out of a place of understanding and you understand that, like, okay, maybe they didn't have the proper education or upbringing, or something wasn't communicated enough or well enough at one point like it was for me. Like I'm surrounded by love and I'm surrounded by support. Like I have a supportive mother. Mm-hmm. So even when like I didn't get it the first time, she was patient enough to, bring it, to keep at it right over throughout my life. Mm-hmm. So I kind of have to like, from that, I'm like, okay, I understand where they're coming from still and love them for who they are, even though they like are so infuriating at this very moment. And I'm just like, fuck you, dude. But you can't, I don't know. It's like to hate, the opposite end of that is like closing off and hating someone. I mean, I feel like that's coming out of a place of,
which is never a good option.
Yeah, because it's like, because even if you do like, if you do say like, oh yeah, I'm like peace and love, but you're
say that.
Yeah, but then if you're closing people off, it's like that's not the message that you're preaching.
It's not peace and love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I think that understanding builds community, and that um, I have like this goal in love and in any kind of love, all forms, platonic, romantic,
Yeah, many
familial,
types.
yes, that I want to love without expecting it in return. So like when I say unconditional, I mean unconditionally. So like to the fullest, like understanding, so important.
Right. Very.
Yeah, empathy. I believe in empathy. It's one of my biggest values that we empathize with people by understanding people, and like we understand people by understanding ourselves and our own boundaries, and recognizing that like everyone comes from different places in lives, and not everyone is going to think like me, which was one of my
Very
biggest downfalls in life. Is I want everyone to think like me. You don't think like me? Like, what do you mean? Like, I literally am telling you how to think and you're disagreeing with me? Like, what?
Hey.
So that's one of my biggest downfalls. I want people to have the exact same mindset as me.
Right.
I think God complex or whatever you want to call it, but I think my way of thinking is key. I'm like, you don't have my same morals and values. Ew. Which is where the understanding,
right.
which is where the understanding comes into play. Is like, of course they don't have the same morals and values of you. They didn't grow up the exact same way as you. They don't have the same views as you. They weren't loved the same way as you. You know, like not even, I can't even say my brother or my sister have the exact same upbringing as me.
It's different.
It's just
in every situation.
Yeah, like we curated our experiences so differently. Like the way my brother experienced something, the same thing that I experienced, so different. We processed those things and we took those things so differently. So like for me to expect someone to think the same way as me is like really takes away from the like I want to love, like unconditionally, unforgivably. Like I think that love is one of the sweetest things.
It is. It's definitely one of the most, like, even though there's pros and cons, you know, and like as you said, like, you know, everybody's definition of love is different, and then, you know, it's influenced by so many things, like people's upbringing and all these things. But like it's really frustrating to like deal with like building relationships and like communicating with adults, because like you can't change people's opinions, you know, and everybody was raised differently. Everybody has like their own trauma, their own baggage and everything. So like you could end up in a situation where, like, whether it's platonic or not, you're displaying love, you know, by your perspective of it, but the other person doesn't read that at all. And then it's like you get into situations where like that just keeps happening, and if neither party is willing to like communicate or share or express this, because in a lot of relationships I feel like people like end up butting heads so much because their definitions of love are different, but then on top of that, like their willingness to pivot on that definition, because it's really a taboo space, like asking. We're
like dedicated to our views,
right? Exactly.
We're like, I'm gonna live in this,
right? Like telling a partner or like even a business associate or a friend, like, hey, like, you're saying that you love me, but like by your actions I can't really tell, but like through them, in their mind, it's like, no, I'm showing you this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Like for an example, like with my dad, even though my dad's like passed and everything, it's his definition or like way of expressing love is just buy me shit. And like, you know, like I have no memories of doing things. It's just like, okay, every time I see you, new shoes, new this and that, and it's like, well, what? And you know,
can we talk about something too?
right
Learn
instead of
about
just
each
sitting
other.
in the car for a long ass time, let's turn the music up, you know, that's it.
And that's hard. And it's really hard to, because love languages are important, you know.
Very.
Love languages are important, but how do we, and like, is it important for us to find people with the same love languages as us, or is it important for us to accept those with different love languages than us? Because like a lot of people are like, you have to find people with the same love language as you, but then it's like,
I feel like that's counterproductive.
Yeah, I feel like I've said this a lot today, but I think I'm a constant student of the world. And
You think that you're what?
A constant student of the world. Like I learn from
As you should be, as everyone should be.
Yeah. But like, what if I do just succumb to only experiencing those with the same love language as I, or who love the same way as I? Is that something? Is that important?
I mean, I feel like by default you might attract the same situations or the same people with similar love languages, but at least from my perspective, I think that in the long term that kind of ends up with like it's just being stagnant after a certain point, and then like you know, like where does that go? Are you willing to, like, in that situation, are you both willing to redefine your love language together? A lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah, because it has to grow. You have to grow from something.
It should be constantly evolving, like you said.
I think you naturally also like attract the people that speak the same language as you.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I think your body just naturally processes that, and then when there's someone that you don't fuck with, you just never talk to them again. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like it's not even a thought. It's kind of like I don't know. It's just you just move on from that, or you stop texting them back. You know, like less and less and less. You start seeing them less and less, and then all of a sudden,
and it's just, you know,
and then you're just filtering out. You're just filtering out all these people, and then you wonder why. Like, I wonder why that didn't. Oh, like maybe it's a love language thing. Maybe it's just like a world, like a morals thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I think like the people that usually stick around are the people that are like willing to learn. You know? Yeah. Because like that's what you said, you're a student of the world, right? Yeah. And I agree. I mean, I think we all are. Not all of us are like super attentive to things because of things like, you know, all these distractions that are all around us. But I think that when we do slow down and you do like look around and really look at people, you learn a lot. And that's the people that usually stick around with you as well. Because I have like one friend came to mind that I was just like, why does she, like, she's always like one of the first few people to leave like a party. She like come and like say hi and be social and whatever, but she'll leave. Like she won't last that long. And I'm like, she doesn't come off as antisocial. Like she's pretty social, but maybe she can also be antisocial. But then
you could be both.
Yeah, but then I realized too, I'm like, maybe quality time isn't one of her love languages. Yeah. And I usually have friends, like all of my friends, like we have that in common to the like fucking T. Like we can just kick it all day and not do anything. You know what I mean? And that's what we have in common. Like we really love each other's company. And she's great. Like I know that we can kick and do stuff, but like there's a time limit for her time spending. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like, maybe that's not her love language. Right. And that's cool. Yeah. But I've never actually been like kind of clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, not everyone's love language is quality time.
No, everyone can spend hours. Yeah. I also like people's like energy tank. Like, you know, empties faster than others. Like,
right. And it's kind of selfish to be like, well, you're not acting the way that I want you to act right now. It's like, come on now.
I think that's definitely a big lesson I've learned in life is not everyone is going to succumb to my beliefs and my values. And I'm stubborn, so it's been a long run.
I think we're all stubborn to a certain extent because it's easier to be stubborn. Yeah. You know, it's easy to just be like, all right, I've had this is my opinion, shut it down. I don't need your opinion, I'm an adult. Yeah. like
well, your opinion, not my opinion.
Right, like we're raised to like, all right, once you're an adult, you can do what the fuck you want. So after you're an adult, like, what the fuck I gotta listen to your opinion for? Yeah, exactly. But then also as an adult, and this isn't always the case with everyone, but like the only thing that's guaranteed as you age is experience. Yeah. So from that, like your perspective or your life path or whatever, that could turn into whatever. It could it could end up negative or positive or whatever, but like you're in charge of that. You know, and it's hard when someone else is trying to chip away at that or telling you that there's flaws in your little stone statue of your ego or whatever.
You know, that's another thing that I think that love is. I think it's egoless. I don't think that ego exists in love.
It shouldn't.
I don't think that it can.
Okay.
I don't think that you can fully love someone with your ego in the way. I don't think that you can fully love someone with your pride in the way. But I also don't, at the same time, don't think you have to compromise in love. I don't think that compromise.
How do you find that like balance between all those things though?
If I really love someone, then what does my ego have to do with it?
I mean, with the compromise part. I feel you on the ego part.
Okay, so I don't mean like small little compromises. I don't mean like, oh, let's go here for dinner instead of
Yeah,
here.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I mean like, there's no part of myself that I think I should have to give in order for someone to love me.
Yeah,
or
you're
in order
right.
for me to love someone.
I
don't
more
think
lovable. Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's nothing that anyone should give up. Like, say you don't want kids and your partner does want kids, and you're like, okay, let's have kids because I love you.
No, that's not cool.
No.
Right.
No, like that's not gonna work in the long run, and it doesn't exist in love. Like that compromise can't exist in love. There's no love strong enough to make that resentment of having a kid when you never wanted kids go away.
Yeah, that's a really unfair situation to put someone in.
Yeah, like
if you loved someone, you wouldn't put them in that situation.
Exactly, you don't make people compromise their values, their beliefs, and their morals.
But
the other person is compromising if they do want kids, but then they're compromising that they don't. So either someone compromises or the relationship doesn't work. Yeah. Is that what you think?
I think that nobody compromises and the relationship works. But if someone compromises, then did you just say that?
Because so like in the kids thing, because that's been that was like also like a thing that's happened with me before, like just as a topic where we didn't agree, but like, so say like I don't want kids, the other person does, and this is like a major thing. The other person says, fine, we don't have kids. Is that a fair compromise?
No.
I feel like that person, there's always that
right. So the
that
relationship,
resentment in the back.
That disagreement means that the relationship is not going to work.
I feel like at that point there needs to be a conversation and like, okay, well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
You know,
it's time to part ways.
Right. Like we can be friends.
Yeah.
You know, like, or if we create some kind of situation, we can have a situation, but like you define, like that's defined.
Because that want to have a kid is probably some part of your beliefs or your values.
Yep. Yeah.
So when you compromise your beliefs and your values, you experience dissonance, and when you experience dissonance, you have this like this disruptive feeling in your mind and in your heart, like, and it'll stay with you. There's no escape from dissonance.
Yeah.
There's no escape from it. So like, just compromises, I don't think that they work. Yeah. Personally, for me, I have never heard of a situation where two people were happy and when they had to compromise something. It's always like, yeah, I'm happy, but, you know.
Yeah.
And we're kind of taught to like, well, that's a part of being with people. Yeah. You just grow up and you resent each other. Yeah. And it's like that. It doesn't have to be that. Horrible. You know. Yeah. Like we're kind of.
Oh, it's true, and it's like. Sometimes I think. People stay in relationships because they don't want to walk away because they don't think that that's the best choice or that's the most loving choice. But I disagree. I think that like walking or letting go of something can be a very loving act. You know, our parents do it all the time. You know, like okay, it's now your time to, you gotta let go. You gotta let them learn on their own. It's like that is, I think, also love.
And some people definitely can't interpret that, like, because that's also my perspective of love. Like if we're in a relationship and like it clearly makes more sense that, you know, I'm gonna be happy every step that you make because I love you. You know, like I'm gonna be happy if you get married. I'm gonna be happy if you're just with someone. I'm gonna be happy with every step because like it's like I love you. So seeing you happy makes me happy.
And I really like that you said that walking away is a loving act. Because a lot of people, and I feel like myself as well, feel like when people walk away from us, like, it hurts. Like that. Like, how could you love me and leave me?
Right.
Like, I can't believe that. But it makes so much sense. And it is a really loving act. It is. I had a conversation with my therapist about authenticity, because like we talk about self-love a lot, and we talk about like how I honor myself through self-love, and she was like, do you say no to people? And I was like, no, I don't really say no to people. Like, I always say yes. She was like, well, how do you say that you love yourself and you don't honor yourself? How aren't you your most authentic self? And that's when I realized, that's when my whole life changed. When she told me that, I was like, whoa. And I was like, I have to honor myself and be authentic in everything that I do. And I have to honor people who are authentic in everything that they do. So if someone leaves me, even though that they love me, at least they're honoring themselves. And by honoring themselves, they're honoring me. You know, I do think that's love. And I do think that it's really important that you said, like, walking away is a form of love.
Because it would be kind of selfish to like continue a situation that you know like isn't the best for either party. You know, like that kind of goes into the concept of like, well, when people are in relationships, it's like, all right, well, I don't want to break up because I don't want to be lonely.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that like you can't hold on to a person because you don't want to be lonely. Like, is love even a factor at that point? Does anything matter? Like, other than you just not being lonely. You know?
I feel like...
And loneliness is scary.
Loneliness
I get
is
it.
scary. But not when you honor yourself. And I think that may be a problem for a lot of people. I don't think that people think a lot about authenticity when it comes to self-love. Because I know I didn't. I know that I was, like, I walked into therapy, like, yeah, I love myself. Like, what are you talking about? I could look at myself in the mirror and tell myself right now I love myself. Like, not a problem. My therapist is like, so why don't you say no to people when you want to?
It's also self-love.
Yeah. And I was like...
setting boundaries.
Yeah. I was like, well, because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And
what about your feelings?
Yeah. And she was like, so how do you love yourself if you're trying to spare other people's feelings?
Everyone else.
And I'm like, okay, maybe. Like, maybe you're right. Maybe you're on to something. But it's just like, I don't know. I feel like the lines are blurry sometimes.
Yeah, as with everything.
Yeah.
I have friends that are very, like, that have paved the way of that way of thinking. And then seeing them do it, and at first I'm like, whoa, like, you're saying no to, or whatever the case was, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're deciding to do something else other than what we're deciding to do. And we can't argue with what your decision is, because that's your choice. Those are your boundaries or whatever the case may be. And at first, it's so interesting, because at first my personal experience with, like, seeing that was like, oh, you're being difficult. You know what I mean? That was like my first, because I learned empathy not that long ago. I thought I knew what it meant to empathize until I saw like this
we think
thing.
We know a lot.
Yeah, until I saw this like really simple like cartoon in class breaking down what sympathy and empathy was. And like for me, honestly, I'm that kind of learner sometimes. Like make it simple.
Dumb it down for me.
Dumb it, you know what I mean? Or just like it doesn't have to be that hard, like that difficult to explain. So I learned like not that long ago what that meant. So before that, when I had certain people like create their own, they'll create those boundaries or say no, like contrary to like what the group was trying to do, whatever it was. Like I said, I thought it was just them being difficult or nitpicky or like, you know what I mean? Like standoffish. And I was like judgy of that. And I'm like, whatever. And over time, I would be put in situations where I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I shouldn't feel bad to
your opinion change after you start feeling it.
Yeah. and then I look back and I'm like, dude, you're a trailblazer.
I love that
you
word.
got there before I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just like, you have to be super okay. Like, nope, that's not for me.
But it's
thank
scary.
Yeah.
Confidence and self-love is scary.
It is.
It is. It's terrifying because
It's one of the hardest things to work on and achieve.
Yeah, because it's like, this is comfortable to me. Living in this, like, half-assed self-confident, it's comfortable. Like, I say no when I want, and if I'm not comfortable saying no, then I say yeah. And, you know, it might inconvenience me, but I move on. But it's like, it's a different kind of power to be able to stand in your ground and to really live in the self-confidence. But it's just terrifying. Like, the connections that you lose, the relationships that you have to, you know, like, what is the word? Like, pass up on. Yeah. Because they don't serve you. It's
sometimes those aren't quality relationships, though.
Yeah, but like we value comfort as humans. Yeah. So true. Maybe they don't value or serve us, but they're comfortable. Yeah. It's scary to leave comfort, like the braid thing. Scary to leave comfort. So it's kind of like, I feel like it gives me anxiety to live my most authentic self. But I feel like it might be for anyone. You know, we never know what people are thinking.
It can be a lonely place. Yeah. I had a friend tweet, and if you met her, you'd feel the same way. Like, she is like such a unique soul. You know, she's super vibrant and energetic, and like just her. You know, and she tweeted something like, "I just come to realize that I'm not everyone's like cup of tea." You know, like I'm sure she was talking more specifically with dating, maybe, because like I personally like know that men, if she's speaking of men, they're a little harder to kind of get with like different shit. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like you're talking about like people value comfort. Yeah. I feel like men.
Yeah, a lot of men be
really sit in their comfort.
Right. Ooh. Not all of them. I don't want to say the super general statement, most, but I would say most, right?
As a man, I would say most.
Yeah, like comfortable, that predictability, that consistency of whatever. So dating a woman who isn't that, who's a little bit all over the place, crazy, fun, like different. I feel like men or people, I'm gonna say people, immediately are attracted to that because it's fun, it's exciting, it's new. But then once like you get closer and closer to that kind of energy, it could create like this dissonance maybe. But it just kind of, and she's over here like, I just come to accept the fact that I'm not for everyone. Yeah. Right. And I have to be okay with that. And I'm like, yeah, I can co-sign. Like, you're not for everyone, girl. Yeah. Absolutely not. Yeah. Like, if you were, then like, you wouldn't be you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah. So like, that's like, it does become like a smaller, like, it's a more lonely place. Yeah. But it's a more lonely, but it's not completely, you're not completely alone.
You're not alone.
You know what I mean?
You're not alone. Because the people who value you are going to jump on board.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're going to jump ship. If they just look at your favorite artists. Yeah. I'm sure you have an artist in your in your top 10. Yeah. That's like the craziest one, right? There's a one that like does all the shit that you wish you could do, but you would never because you're not that bold, right? Yeah. Right? But you need that like you need that standard, or you need that like contrast as kind of like your baseline or whatever, your ceiling, whatever that is. Because I have that for me. Like I have artists and people that I look up to that I'm like, dude, like you're like straight goals. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I could ever do what you've done. But that's like my ceiling, you know.
Yeah, it's good to have those people,
right? Like it's good to have something that you're like, I want to be more like you. Yeah. But then you eventually create your own lane, and then you get at the same level, right? You feel me? Yeah. Like kind of like, I just thought of like when I watched the Genius, the documentary, of how like he was in the studio with Jay-Z, and he like looked up to Jay-Z, like he was.
There was so many moments in that.
I literally started. It was an emotional scene.
As an artist,
you have to watch.
Yeah, I've heard that it's really good, and I've been meaning to watch it. I feel like it takes, but when it comes to music, it takes a lot of time for me to like listen to new music, even if it's from my favorite artists. Like it takes a lot of time because like I value comfort. So I value the things that I know.
You already know.
Yeah. So like I'll stick to that. I rewatch shows. I listen to the same music.
I'll do the same thing.
Yeah. So it takes me a little bit to like jump on board. I don't listen to new music for like at least 2 weeks. Like I have to really be in the moment. So I haven't watched it yet, but when the time is right, I will. I've heard that it's really good, and I love Kanye.
Not to like spoil it. Well, it's someone's life.
It's someone's life. There's no way to spoil.
So there's this one scene where like there's a party and Jay-Z's at the party. I forgot whose party it was. And like there's a line of people walking out and like dapping them up. Jay-Z barely makes eye contact with Kanye, and you can see it on his face. He's just like, I really want you to notice me. And you can read. There's no words. It's just like. And as an artist, like that moment when you meet somebody that you really look up to and then they don't care.
Yeah,
that's hard.
That's hard.
That's hard.
And then there's that follow, and then there's that other part, that the moment where he's finally in the studio with Jay-Z, gets in the booth, and Jay-Z's like, nah, stop that. Yo, more energy on this part, or whatever. And then Kanye's like, all right, yeah, all right. I've never seen Kanye that humble or in that like pupil, like student.
You can tell he wanted that.
He wanted approval.
So
he was like, I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna live in this. Like I'm whatever you say. Your word is king.
And that got me emotional because of course later on, as we all know, he's at the same. For me, he's at the same level as Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? He has built his own empire the way that Jay-Z has. You feel me? But Jay-Z was already doing the shit before. You know what I mean? He was already doing it. So to me, that's what I'm saying. It's like, so maybe in Kanye's mind, Jay-Z was that ceiling, and he like really wanted that, and he just ended up creating his own line to match that. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, it is terrifying, but you believing in yourself or like owning whatever that is, right? You over time start building that space for yourself that if you wanted to could be at the same level as one of your favorite artists. You know what I mean? It could, whether the numbers may not match, who fucking cares about the numbers, about the follows, or about like how much money, whatever all that other shit is. But I'm just saying in terms of like, even in terms of like mentality or I don't know. I think that's equally as important to me. I'm sure it is to you guys, but I wouldn't say like you should be scared of that. I think that's something that you are gonna gain more and more control over, and it's gonna be your own thing. Right. And then you're gonna start saying no without even thinking about saying no, because like that doesn't align with what I'm building. It's just no, like I'm like, good, and then because you the whole dissonance thing, I really agree with that. Because I've also been in situations where like I'm very spiritual, I'm Christian, and like I've been able to create my own reality in that, or create my own understanding of what my identity is in Christianity. You know, because
I think that's really important in religion.
It is like, you know, because I wouldn't consider myself queer, but I date a woman, so I guess I'm queer. I don't care about labels. You know what I mean? Like I don't really think about like, that.
Who cares?
But like whatever on paper, let's go there. Whatever, you know. And like for me, there's no like I've created my identity in my faith where I'm accepted. Anyone is just freaking accepted. You know what I mean? Exactly. And for other people, it's kind of hard to understand. Like I've had questions from other like colleagues or whatever, where like, yeah, but how does that work? And I'm like how doesn't it work?
Right.
I don't know.
The beauty with being human and having your own thoughts is that you can define whatever your own way.
Yeah.
You can have your beliefs align with something, and that like, you know, do things that like people that normally have those beliefs may not agree with, but then like who's to say that they're right? Who's to say that there is a right?
That's not, I don't think that's the goal of the conversation.
Right, exactly. It's like, well, are we here for each other? Do we love each other? What's the action?
Yeah.
You know?
Empathy at the highest level. I think so important. I think that like our worldviews have a lot to do with how we understand people and empathize with people. So like our conversation about men and their views of love is that they have a completely, when you are a cisgendered cisgendered straight man, and you know, like maybe you're not black, maybe you're white, or you know, but when you are a cisgendered straight man, your worldview is so different than everyone else's. You don't have the opportunity to see the world as everyone else because you're really just not a part of those groups. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've read the book or if you guys have read the book, Sapiens, the History of Mankind or Humankind. It's by the author Yuval. I don't know how to say their name, and I don't want to butcher it. Really good book, and it's about intersubjectivity, and he talks about America in specific, and how all of our systems are built off of hierarchy, and how that's just how it's been since the beginning of kind, hierarchy, and like so when you're at the bottom of that pyramid, you just have such a different understanding than the people who get closer to the top. Even if you're second to last on that pyramid, your understanding of the world is
it's
so
always gonna be
different. Yeah. So I feel like when we talk about men and compromising and empathy, they don't have that same understanding because they don't have to have that understanding.
Right.
They don't have to see from that lens. They don't see from the same eyes as those who are different do because they don't have to.
I feel like to a certain extent, that's partially because how a lot of men are raised.
Yes.
We're kind of like, or at least like cis men are raised like you have to be tough. You can't deal with emotion, and then they're constantly throwing like, check out this person. Look at this. Look at this. So you're not even allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah.
It's just like instantly. Well, I can't communicate if I feel bad, and then I always have to be trying to like pull a girl at all times. At all times. That's the general scope of like how a lot of men are raised.
Which I think is true for non-straight men as well.
It spills over.
I think we could say that non-straight men, depending on their home environment, but I feel like for most home environments, because like when we're toddlers, we don't know if we like men or women because it's not a concept, but we're still those values are still pushed on.
Yeah,
us.
you see stuff.
Yeah, and they're like, you know, like how parents will be like, oh my gosh, is that your girlfriend, to like a 2-year-old, you know, and they're like,
which is a question that should not be asked.
Yeah, and they're like, friend, or they're like, yay, sand, you know, but they're like, oh, they're with their girlfriend, you know, so like those values are constantly pushed upon I guess women as well.
They're pushed on all children.
Yeah, and I don't know, I guess like our visibility to injustices is just more in our faces as women, like regardless of your race, you know, that's something all women have in common is that like the experiences that we have to have as women, whereas like men just don't always have those experiences. And I'm not going to generalize because men do have the visibility of predatory behavior and you know they do see that in life, but like just like we have to empathize more because we are put through more at such young ages, like you know, I think that if we could like if someone were to Google the percentage of young girls who have been assaulted before the age of
there's a really weird like world that we've created for women, like because we've like just like with boys, like you're raised to go a certain path, right? And then like women in some cases are like, okay, well you're taught to be accepting and obedient, and that's what men are expecting. And then you get into like a situation where like, well, the boys will be boys, and then it's like that doesn't make anything okay.
Yeah.
You know, and then even with like little girls and stuff, like it's socially accepted for like men to comment on like how little girls look.
Yeah.
Which should
weird.
never.
Which is weird. Like our faces, like that's so weird to us because we also like I think that. People our age have like really focused on unlearning the behaviors that we were taught.
There's a lot of toxicity.
Yes, and I think that we really made it important to unlearn those behaviors.
Like the phrase "you filled out well" should never come from anyone's mouth.
OMG! Like Like, that is so
And I've heard
invasive.
that so many times,
That
like
is-
from
it's
like
so creepy.
exactly. It's
so
like, well,
creepy.
why are you thinking of me like that?
Yeah, like, what do you mean? Like,
Because
what is
there's
that?
so much that's implied with
Yes.
saying that.
Implications. Oh my gosh.
I was like really early on weirded out by all that. Like for me to
As
like,
you should be. It's
Yeah.
weird.
for me to get, even though this day, not so much. I mean, a little bit still, like to get in a bikini. Like growing up as a preteen, like before I even hit, puberty, anything. It took so much for me.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I think just like it just took like one of those comments, or it just took someone looking at me that I was just like, ew,
Yeah.
ew, ew, ew. And so like the big clothes, or like me being a little bit like doing all the extra shit to kind of take attention away of like, I don't even have anything. Like I don't even forget whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like look at all the weird shit I'm wearing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of like why I growing up in high school and shit, I did that.
I can really agree, and like not to like comment on my body because that's not something I try to draw attention to, but I think I've always been hyper aware of my shape, of like that I am curvier, and it's easier to sexualize me, and it's easier like I get comments all the time, like constantly unsolicited, like I could be smiling in a picture and it's just like really like unsolicited comments about my body or my figure, or like, and it's like, it's so weird. It's so weird. Like I didn't even ask for that. Like I didn't ask you. That's not what I want. So I'm always like very conscious of what, especially when I go to work. Like I tell my mom all the time. Like I ask my mom when I go to work every day, like, does this look okay? And it's just because I'm like, well, I don't want to look like too, out there.
And that's really annoying that you have to factor that into like, and like all women have to do that.
Yeah.
Like there's so much like outside sexualization of just things like like the like I know like with a lot of kids, some parents like have an opinion of like, oh, like you like shouldn't wear lipstick or you shouldn't do your nails, and it's like you're making that sexual.
Yeah.
This is just you're just accessorizing.
Literally, my long nails don't make me any sexier
Right.
than if I had short
but some
nails.
people are like trained like, oh, that's promiscuous.
Yeah, I'm like,
and it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah,
it's just I like this. This is what I'm doing right now.
and I feel like I see that a lot on social media, which is really weird. It's really weird to see like, oh my gosh, you're letting her wear lipstick. Like it's a color
Right.
on their
You're
face.
making it sexual.
You
you
are.
dirty-minded
You're the
person.
weird one. You are the weird one.
Let's talk about you.
I have a few thoughts on that, like about what being like you're saying, like you're hyper aware of like what you're wearing and your figure and all that, right? And like I'm just speaking off of like what I've seen from other people who are like, I think anyone and everyone like it can be sexy or is sexy to me. It's like, I think for me it's not even about how you look, it's like what you exude. You feel me? Because I've met gorgeous people that I'm like, I'm not even in the least bit attracted to you.
Right, but they be
you
doing their thing.
You tick off all the boxes, but I'm like, eh. Yeah. But I've met people that are like not so immediately someone that I would, but they're like really good at that one thing, or they really speak their mind, or they really have like their interesting, cool style. I'm like, that's sexy. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like I've seen also the women that are apparently like sexy and curvy or whatever, or people, right? And they really they're like, all right, y'all gonna clock me for this? I'm gonna take it up a notch. And I love that so much. It's like a big fuck you to everyone. It's like, oh, you're gonna catcall me? All right, I'm gonna still wear my mini skirts with my thong out and my tits out. What the fuck is up? What, you're gonna body shame me now on the same shit that you are sexualizing me on? Double fuck you. You know what I mean? So that for me is like, you gotta make it, I feel like, just do whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, I had a family member, really inappropriate comment, like I guess 2-3 years ago. I don't even know what I was wearing. When I'm in I don't care where I'm at. I'm gonna dress how I want. This is my world. This is my space. This is my identity. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I guess I was wearing something like maybe a crop top or whatever, And I come from a Chicano background, so not just Mexican, but like Mexican American, you know, like the culture. And he said, "You look like one of the women I would have talked to when I was a kid. Don't dress like that anymore." And I was like, "Excuse me."
So this was bothering you.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
It's like, all right, I need to tell you this. This is really bothering me. So he was focused on it.
Yes, he said, like, "I don't want you to wear that anymore. Like, you look like one of my, like, basically he was trying to say like one of my hoes.
Right.
Like a girl he would just call to hit it. And
why do people think that they
off.
need to say everything that they think?
Yeah.
A family member said this to you?
Yes, a family member.
I'm gonna get this charger.
Okay. And I was just like, what? Like, first of all, I'm in like a long skirt and a crop top. There's like no part of me showing right now. And second of all, who are you to sexualize me without my permission? Like, who are you to make that comment about me and decide that is what I look like?
And tell you what to do.
Yeah. My mom was so pissed off. She was so mad. She was like, what? What did he say to you?
They're going to have to learn.
Yeah, and I still, to this day, funerals, whatever, it doesn't matter where I'm going. I'm going to dress in what makes me feel comfortable, and I always do. Okay, good. As long as I feel comfortable, that's what matters to me. I don't care if it's a mini skirt. I'm probably the most comfortable in that right now, and that's why I'm wearing it, you know? So it's just these concepts. It's so weird, because I would never say that to anyone's kid. No. You look like a whore right now. Like, imagine. No. So.
There's something that you don't say.
Yeah, at all. Not even if you feel that way.
And then I have this other thought, because I saw this really funny thing that I can show you guys after. But I saw it on Twitter, and it's based in the Philippines. Like they have this like talent show situation, kind of like what we have here, but it's like a live audience. There's judges, there's a panel, all that. But I don't know what the age group is, but they're like the group that I saw. They're like little boys. They're like there's three or four of them, and they might be like 10 years old. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but they are very flamboyant. They are very cute. Yeah. And there's like this performance where they're dressed up as one of them as Nicki Minaj, one as Ariana Grande, and the third as Jessie. Oh, Jessie J. For that song. The one song, Bang Bang. Yeah. Dude, they're amazing. Like they can sing their asses off, but they're in full face, you know what I mean? They're wearing wigs and they're wearing skirts and they're like gyrating and they're like all this stuff. And there's like, I also know that in some cultures, like there's a lot of ladyboys, like that's what they call them. I don't know if I'm actually even, I should even been saying that word, but that's what they've been called. Yeah. And like just you know, men who dress up as women, and I don't know what they identify themselves as, but that's on the culture. Yeah. But it's normal. Like it's not a weird like, oh, you're this, you're that. It's like that's just the culture. So these boys, like no one in the crowd was. It's super weird. It's funny. It's not weird. It's funny. It's cute. It's exciting. It's showbiz, right? But in the comments, like all these Americans, of course, are like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And
that's normally an American thing. Yeah. That people add onto that. Because like in a lot of cultures, like there's like, at least for performance art, it's normally looked at like as a male thing. So even the female roles are supposed to be played by males. Like it's not like always looked at as a like gay binary, straight thing. Gender binary. Right.
Yeah. I took a anthropology of sex class. One of the most interesting class. It was literally like sex, like intercourse. And it was just about different people of the world. And I guess it was also about sex and gender, so I guess it was both of those because we did talk about gender a lot. That was one of the main things in college that made me start disagreeing with gender binary. Because like, you know, until I got to college, I didn't like the concept of gender was never spoken about. So, but once I took that class and I realized how westernized our ideas were, I was like, no, this is insane. And the practices of people who are not Western, they would seem so weird to us.
Like super taboo. And
Yes, but they're just so normal. And some of them, like some practices, the UN has had to like go in and stop. Like I think I told you about the tribe in Papua New Guinea, the Sambia, but I think it was a really long time ago. The Sambia who would like, just really egregious acts to what is it? Verify? No. There's validate gender. Just really weird acts. Like this one wasn't the weirdest, but like one
that
of them.
That already sounds like a tax.
Yes. One of them. So they slept in like huts, and when the women were on their periods, the men would sleep in different huts because they thought that women had diseases when they were on their periods, and that you could catch the disease and it would make you less of a man. So that was just one of them. That was like
ignorance will make people do stupid stuff.
Yes, and like it wasn't even the worst of it. Oh my gosh, it just, and I guess I keep on saying worse, which would be offensive to those who practice the
from
culture.
Your perspective.
Yes, from my perspective, and I guess from the UN's as well. They were just really. I think they are cruel. I think like. In whichever light you look at it, it's cruel, and I think that practices, even if they are traditional, can still be cruel.
I feel like anything invasive, is cruel.
Very invasive. They would make women stick sticks so far up their noses to make them bleed, or no, men. Oh no, women, and then they would make.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, they would make boys swallow the semen of men and they would call it like they would fill their tengu, so that would make them a man. So once they finally swallowed,
it's like you're capturing male energy.
What is the scientific fellatio? Give head to men. They make little boys give head to grown men to just determine their manliness.
Yeah, like no matter with the culture, that's weird.
Yeah. It was a forced practice. They had to do it. Sell women for pigs and such. So I do think that those are.
They probably don't look at themselves as like gay.
But yeah, no, not at all. And that's why once I took that class, I was like, the binary of gender. So fucked up in Western states.
So it's a pointless conversation to have.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I like when I got to renew my license, I did it non-binary.
Non-binary, yeah.
Just because it's not a discussion that we need to talk about.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. And I think that like more that I've learned has made me feel weirder. And like, like our conversations about love, and like I think that like in relationships, like thinking more about gender and gender binaries, I've become less comfortable with the terms like boyfriend and girlfriend. Like they make me feel weird. I don't know, maybe because it enforces a gender binary, and I do identify as woman. I do, but I feel like the gender binary and the gender like constructs that come with it just make me feel weird.
Yeah.
They make me feel
those
like,
words mean certain things.
Yeah,
or we tie things to the meaning. They don't have to mean anything.
But I like partner. I think a partnership is really good.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's probably like I'm glad that we like transitioned to that like socially, because like it just makes more sense. Because like to be an adult and to be that's my boyfriend. That's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
It does weird. Corny, huh?
Yeah.
It does.
And you're not gonna say that's my man friend or my woman friend.
Yeah. That's my boyfriend. That's my girlfriend.
Partner
like,
just way easier, and it's more serious.
Homie, that's my homie.
That word, it's whatever.
It's homie, it's whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel the same. We were actually talking about that like not too long ago. Like I've found I said girlfriend the other day, and I'm like, that sounds corny. Like it just sounds like I'm letting someone know the person I'm dating's gender. Yeah. And I'm like the gender doesn't matter. Yeah. I'm with someone.
We got like knee-jerk reactions or I don't know what the thing is, like you just react a certain way, like you kind of program throughout life.
They're called heuristics, actually. Okay. Our heuristics are like our shortcuts to our thoughts. So we automatically say boyfriend and girlfriend because that's what we're taught to. Just like we automatically cry when we get hurt enough, because when we got hurt as children, we would cry. So our heuristics are shortcuts in our brain that allows us.
What is it called? Heuristics. Heuristic.
Yeah, so it's HEURISTIC. Yes.
Spelling.
Yes, that was hard. That was really hard for
Yeah.
me. I was like, ooh, I'm gonna mess up. But yeah.
Or like when you cry when you share something that's hurt you before.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
yeah.
It takes us back to our
People
freshman
don't be
memory,
crying enough. Especially men. Men don't be crying enough.
I'm a little bit mean. I'm not a lover. I make sure to say that because, like, I know I talk about peace and love all the time. I'm a hater. I'm a hater.
What does that mean? Like,
to the fullest extent. I'm a.
What do you
I
mean?
hate.
What? Plot twist. yeah.
I'm a lover, but I'm a hater. I'm a hater as well. So when you say men don't cry enough, I agree. Just don't cry around me.
So okay, this makes me think of like a topic that like I've kind of like, so there's.
The shrooms make you yawn.
Huh?
The shrooms make you yawn.
I don't know. You make yourself yawn if you're sleepy. You sleepy?
They
No.
could.
Everybody different.
When we lose oxygen to our brain, we do yawn a lot. So even if you're not tired, and there could be like a slowdown of your heart rate, which is causing you to lose oxygen in your brain, and then we start yawning more. I know a lot of really random things.
Facts.
I work out a lot, so I learned that when you lose oxygen going to your brain, that you yawn a lot, and I yawn a lot when I'm working out. So it makes me drink water more, and that's the reason why I know that.
You getting me off my
Oh,
thing,
I'm sorry.
You.
I'm just saying. I'm just letting you know if I keep yawning, it's not the conversation.
I ain't judging you. It's, you
Yeah,
do your
yeah.
thing. It's whatever.
No, your heart rate's probably just slowing down.
But what I was gonna say is like, okay, so socially we want men to be more vulnerable and talk about their feelings and shit like that, right? But then like the wall that I've been seeing is that like people saying that, but then when it comes to the situation, then it's like, or I want you to be more open, and then once you start talking about stuff, it's I ain't really want to hear that.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
you feel like
honest.
that? I ain't know if I wanted to know how you feel.
No offense. I'm sorry to every male who's watching this, but men have such mundane issues.
Sometimes,
but like
Not all the time.
it'll be like, I just feel
You can't
like
assume that about all.
no,
know.
no. It was a generalization. I didn't mean to generalize. I'm sorry. My apologies. Some men have such mundane issues.
Mm-hmm.
Some men's issues would be like, I just feel like I'm not understood. The whole time they're not understanding anyone else. Like, do you even understand yourself?
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't feel like a lot of men understand themselves nor are willing to try.
Yeah, like, do I want to understand you if you can't understand yourself?
But then seeking yourself is kind of seen as not a manly thing. So so like asking questions, wondering about things that are not just the path.
I feel like as single as some men want to be, you should be taking that time to figure yourself out. Like, what's the whole point of wanting a half-assed relationship to figure yourself out just to not figure yourself out?
Yeah.
You know?
Anyone shouldn't like look to a relationship to find themselves anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the place for that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a hater. I told you that.
Yeah,
I told you that.
You did use that as a disclaimer.
Laid that out.
Yeah, I'm a
Understood.
hater. I'm a hater. Don't like when men complain. I might complain a lot. I'm not a man.
It's alright. There's this kind of makes me think of this like one situation where it's like I like wanted to date this girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then like there's just like cues that you see where it's like, all right, well, after you like try to set up something or like it gets like you know like rearranged and stuff, it's like when you can see where like the relationship would be one side where it's just like, okay, like I always have to wonder what you're doing, not like in a like tracking like I mean
I
like
get what you
like I gotta ask about your day. You're never gonna ask about my day.
Yeah.
Like I gotta ask about right. It's like, what do you want? It's never gonna ever be like anything. You know, that's weird.
Not worth it.
You know,
I
and
like
that
someone, I'm
ended
asking them
that
about
for
their day.
me.
I'm asking them what they ate in the morning, what they drink at night, what time they went pee. Like, I want to know everything about
Because
them.
if you love someone,
Yeah.
it's like,
That's
you just want to know.
Yeah, I just want to
Even
know.
if
Like,
he was laying around the house all
yeah,
day.
like what were you watching while you were laying around the house?
Right.
Like watching on YouTube. What did you watch?
You was thinking about
I want to see your
something.
search history. Like maybe I want to watch it too.
I don't know about all that. But like, we could talk about it.
Like I'm like a little. I want to be like a pocket person. I want to be like attached to your hip. Maybe I have attachment issues, but that's beside the point. Like I just want to like. I really enjoy indulging in other people's joys.
Same.
Because like I have my own, I indulge in them all the time. I love myself. I'm living it. I'm doing things that serve me all the time. Like, and to be a student of the world, like how could I not indulge in your joys? How can I just exist in my own? You know?
I love seeing people be passionate about things.
Yeah.
Especially in a relationship. It's like, no, I want like the thing that you're like really weird about, that you like, that you think that nobody likes. I want to know.
It makes me think of the song Sunday, Earl Sweatshirt, Frank Ocean. And what are the lyrics? Something about how you're not passionate about the things that you do, and that's why he couldn't be with you. Earl Sweatshirt was saying, like, you're not passionate enough about the things that you do. And it's like, it's true. I think about it all the time. Every time I hear that line, I'm like, that makes sense. Like,
so you don't want to hit the rest of this?
I'll hit it.
It's so baby.
I know.
Oh, baby.
Also, your nails are fire.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I went bowling in today. It hurt like a bitch.
It's so funny that you're saying like, oh, braids are like too different. Anyone who gets their nails done will look at your nails and be like, that's way too different.
Yeah, I get it all the time.
Yeah.
People's perspective of different.
Isn't it interesting?
I would feel the same way though, like having, I don't know, a hairstyle is more wild.
A hairstyle. This is like who I am. I live in this hair. People ask me all the time, why don't you change it? Or whenever I wear it, like if I post a picture of it curly, they're like, why don't you do that all the time? I'm like, why are you asking me about my hair? Worry about your own. You know?
Yeah.
Like I get all defensive for no reason. They'll be like, I really like it like that. Well, I don't care what you think. You know? But like just because it's different, it makes me nervous. But oh yeah, the Earl Sweatshirt, Frank Ocean song, Sunday, talks about how it's hard to be with someone who's not passionate about the things that they say they're passionate about. Like you're not really living in it. And like, how do I champion my own passions and your passions in this relationship if you're not even championing your passions?
Right.
You know? And I think about it all the time. Because like, I do photography, but I haven't done it in a long time. And it's like, I talk about it like something that I'm passionate about, but I don't really do it that much. But then it makes me think, like, that doesn't mean I'm less passionate about it.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe I'm less inspired.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that it, like, comes and goes. Like
I think so, too.
And I think that we find inspirations in our passions. And sometimes it's harder. Like, for me, I know it's hard. For me, I know it's hard because I have, like, an individuality complex. Like, I want to be different so badly. I want to do things that are different, and I want to be a pioneer and a trailblazer, and I want to create these concepts that I haven't seen before. But it's so hard when I consume so much media. It's so hard when I am constantly seeing things from other people. So it's like, yeah, I could do this, but someone's already done it, and they'll probably do it better.
But then, like, I feel like the beauty in art is that every person will do it differently. Even if they try to achieve the same exact thing. Like, everyone's perspective is it's fine. Everyone's perspective is different. You know? One thing that I wanted to touch on after this car passes.
Loud ass car.
Always. One thing I wanted to touch on was, so as a creative person, how do you find that space and balance in a relationship, and is that important? You know, and the reason that I say that is because for some people, you know, back to like love languages and stuff, like they might not understand like your passion for doing something, because that's a love. You know, that's a type of love. And then like someone might interpret you spending more time doing this as like you don't love them, or like you care too much about this And then it's like, it's like, well, how can like, and it made me think of, because you said about the passion line, and that it's like, well, you should want that for your partner.
Yeah. I think it goes back to the compromise thing. If someone wants you to compromise your passions, they don't love you. I really, truly, like, I will live in it for the rest of my life. I will not be in any relationship that expects me to compromise something. And I really don't think that compromise exists in love. I think that, I don't know. I actually, like, I don't know, because I work 5 days a week. And so, like, my days to indulge in my passion are the other 2 days. So that's hard. That's really hard. I do think that I kind of, like, when I date people, I kind of bring them into my world as much as I can. So, like, I have them, like, interact with my family and my friends and my passions. And, like, I'm a photographer, so you could imagine every person I date is like, let's shoot. So, it kind of, it makes it a little bit easier, because I'm not going to say no. If I'm dating you, I probably think you're gorgeous. So, I'm not going to be like, no, I'm going to, try to find something fun to do and find a way to make it work. But, like, that's only one time. That's not going to work every weekend.
Right.
So it's like...
That's not going to work every weekend.
We can't keep doing it.
I need a weekend off, love.
Yeah.
Actually, don't bother me this weekend.
Like I said, you know what I said, but...
Yeah, a different shoot every day.
Now.
Like,
you're too creative. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
Can we just
slow your passion down?
Literally, like, oh, brother, I don't know. I think that's hard. I think that. I don't even know. Like, would you? Cause do you guys, like, work on the side of creating? Like, do you guys? Cause, like, you guys create more than I do.
I guess.
You do.
Okay.
I feel like I can confidently say that.
I don't know how much you create.
Not that.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. So I feel like, what kind of partner would you expect? Like, what are your expectations out of a partner as someone who...
Expectations are really a thing in relationships.
Yeah, they are. They live in every relationship, expectations. But how much do you value those? Matters. But
value what?
Yeah, like your expectations. Like, are your expectations part of your morals and your beliefs, or are they just things you would enjoy in a partner? So, like, what would you expect out of a partner as a creator?
So, like, let me just do me. Period.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that people, just based off, like, previous conversations and, like, what I see when I hear other people talk about the same thing, let me do me. I'm gonna do me. They kind of, I'm like, there's that connotation of, like, you fucking around with other people. Like, it always goes to that weird place of, like, oh, let me just be what's the word, like, you know what I mean? Like, out and about, out with people. Like, don't clock.
Some people don't get that it's not like,
it's
I'm
not
not trying
that.
to do that all
that's
the time.
That's not what I mean when I say that. So my expectation is to be with someone or have someone, which I do think I currently do, have that person that understands that, like, when I say I'm gonna do me, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna shit on you while I do me.
Yeah,
it's literally not about you, and it's not about anyone else. It's literally like, I don't necessarily feel the need to break this down for people, but I do sometimes. Like, if I don't feel like talking or, like, being out and doing something, it's really not because of you. It's because I need that time. I'm gonna get back to you later. I'm gonna talk to you later. So,
and then that don't mean that I'm trying to stop you from doing your thing.
Yeah.
That don't mean that you got to come over and not do nothing with me.
Yeah. Or even when I'm being creative, it's like, I can't be on my phone, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I have to put that shit on Do Not Disturb or turn it off, and don't take it personally. Like, I'm not going to be on social media. I'm here, I'm locked in, love you, bye.
Yeah.
That's what I expect from a partner.
Yeah.
Right. Like, this, let me do me. Because when I can do me, and my mom knows this too, like, sometimes I'm like, Mom, the door's closed for a reason, mommy. You know what I mean? Like, don't even knock, please. Like, if you need something,
that understanding is important.
Yeah, because growing up in a Brazilian household, like, a closed door, a locked door means, like, a slap in the face for some reason.
Yeah.
You know, I think we talked about this, you know? Like, I don't think it's just Brazilian. Maybe it's like an ethnic or, you know,
like
kind of cultural thing. Yeah. We're like, nah, we're not closing doors. We're not locked. I had no lock on my door.
That's a big no-no.
Yeah.
Like, you close the door, like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
What's wrong? What are you hiding?
Yeah.
I'm chilling with me.
Yeah. They want the door closed. They want nobody come get me.
It's a reason for a fight. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're like, I just want my
nobody
privacy.
asked you to get aggressive.
Yeah. Asking for privacy was like a big, like, whoa, in my house, you know, kind of thing. It was like a whole thing. And I'm like, so as an adult now, I'm like, no. You know why? I need the door closed. And I do not disrupt me because
respect
I will.
my time and my space if you respect
period.
me.
And I expect that from my friends, my mother, my partner, anybody. So that's like, I think the answer. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of like how I make it work for me and like where my expectations come in.